All right, hello. My name's Kevin, and with me is Keshvi and Nasala. And today's workshop, we're going to cover APIs and cloud services. And at the end of the workshop, we really value your feedback. So if you could use this link, which I'm sure Nasala or Keshvi will put in the chat, then it will lead to the feedback form. So for today's workshop, we're just going to provide you an explanation as well as some of the usages of APIs and cloud services. So we're just going to provide the importance of APIs to you guys. We're going to show you how to make requests and responses. And then we're going to demonstrate how to make those requests and responses with Postman. And then Keshvi will lead us through cloud services and show us the cloud or define the cloud and provide us with some of the benefits of the cloud and some of the cloud services that you see on a day-to-day basis. And then Nisala will lead us through combining both APIs and cloud services by helping us actually make a Discord bot using the Discord API and Cloudflare. And then at any time, if you have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat and one of us will be more than eager to help you. So let's start with this question. What is an API? An API is short for Application Programming Interface, and it allows you to request and receive data from other servers, and this establishes a connection between them. I'll provide a more basic example, but just keep that in mind. So one of the most common examples that people often use when explaining API is that of a restaurant. So let's say that I am a client and I am hungry and I want to go to Olive Garden. The API endpoint would be the waiter. So when I walk into the restaurant, the waiter and I get seated, the API endpoint will give me a menu of different options that I can receive from the restaurant. So I can make a request. I can say, hey, I want a shrimp scampi. And that request will be sent to the API endpoint or waiter, who will take it to the back end or the kitchen, where he or she will give it to the chefs, and the chefs will look through the database and look for all the ingredients, and they'll cook it, which is a synonym of back end logic. And they will process my request, and they will return my shrimp scampi in the response, and the waiter will take my shrimp scampi and give it to me as the client. So yeah, that's a basic demonstration of how APIs work using a common analogy that we can all relate to. And there are multiple types of requests that you can actually make. Some of those most common requests are the GET request, the POST, the PATCH, and the DELETE request. So the GET request allows you to access an object in a database. The POST request allows you to actually add an object to a database. The PATCH request allows you to update or change certain properties of an object that already exists in the database. And then DELETE, hence the name, helps you delete something from a database. So how these requests and responses are made are most commonly through JavaScript object notation objects, although you can also do them in XML and HTML formats. So what a JSON object looks like is it has multiple fields, and each of these fields has a field name and value. And as you can see, we have an object here with two fields. We have first name and last name with corresponding values, Vandy and Hacks. And you can see this in a more real life example with the Open Weather API, which is a free API to a certain extent that allows you to access the weather. So let's say that you are a small company and you want to show the weather on your website. But I mean, you're a small company, so you don't have weather vanes, you don't have storm radar, you don't have any of that. What Open Weather API does it will help you. So when you make a GET request to Open Weather API and specify the location, so in my case, I made a request to Nashville, what it'll do is it'll give me this long object which contains multiple fields. So we have, the weather, we have, feels like, temp min, temp max, pressure, humidity. And what I can do is I can access these different values from my API request and then put them onto my own website. and show them to my customers. And here's another example. Let's say I'm feeling really homesick and I want to go home as soon as possible. And I say, hey, Google Flights, I want a flight from Nashville to Charlotte today. And I want it one way. And I want one person in economy. I mean, it's 7 p.m., so I doubt very much will show up. But let's say I did this 2 days ago. What Google Flights will do is it will make a GET request to all these different airlines. It'll say, hey, American Airlines, hey, Delta Airlines, hey, United Airlines, I want to know if you have any flights from Nashville to Charlotte with all these different parameters. And then American Airlines, Delta Airlines, United, they're all in charge of maintaining their own databases and having their own APIs. And they'll update their database based on, how many people there are, whether flights are canceled or whether there are new flights available. And by making a GET request to each of these different APIs, then they will in turn process your request and find all the flights that relate to what you're searching for. And then they will send a response to Google Flights with all the information about all the flights that they have that are available. And that will in turn, Google Flights will take it and then present it in a very user-friendly way for you to see. And you can also see here some of the benefits of APIs and how both parties benefit greatly. Google Flights gets a lot more traffic because they're a lot more reliable because they have access to all these different APIs and all these different airlines. Whereas American Airlines or Delta, they get the benefit of having more customers and more eyes looking towards their websites. Even the Open Weather API that we mentioned earlier, there's a free tier and there's a premium tier. So if you make enough requests to that API, they'll actually start charging you money. So you can see, how both parties really benefit from the usage of APIs. All right, and now I'm just going to provide you with a basic demonstration of making those requests and responses with Postman. So I'm going to move over here, and this is the Postman application. So what Postman basically does is it allows us to send and receive requests, and allows us to send them with JSON files and make all these different types of requests. So I made my own little local API, which I can access with my local server, which is localhost 3000. And then my actual collection here is content. And what a local server is it's basically just like a google.com. It's just like the IP address or the place where I can access my API. And if I were to make a GET request and I were to send it, then as you can see, nothing's returned because I just actually made this database. And I actually have an app here or an application that will show you, sorry, let me remove all of these, my actual database. So this is sort of connected to the database that I have on my computer. Just a reminder, Postman is not related to my database at all. The only way that I can connect is by sending these links. So Postman has nothing to do with my API. So if I were to look at my documents, you can see, I have an empty database as my GET request showed. So let's say I want to put something in my database. I want, a title. I want to say Vandy Hacks, and I want to say the best hackathon there is. And what Postman will do is it will take these different keys and values and it will turn into a JSON object, and it will actually post it onto my database. So you can see I programmed it so it will return the JSON object. And as you can see, Postman made this actual JSON object and it posted onto my database. So if I actually go over to my database and I look, I now have an object with an ID, a title and body, and the version. So it looks the exact same as here. We can add another. We can say, content, the best committee in the best hackathon. And we will post that. And now we have another object. And we look over here and we see in my database that we now have 2 objects. And each has a different ID. IDs are unique to each object, and then we have a title and body and a version. So let's say I want to delete. Then I can just make a delete request here, delete, my content's deleted, and if I go over here, there is nothing. And just another thing, a brief note about browsers. Browsers can actually make GET requests. So if I were to go into Google Chrome, I can actually make a GET request to my database, which I unfortunately just deleted. And you can see, there's nothing there. However, you can't make these other requests, which is why Postman is so important. All right, so now I'm going to hand it over to Keshvi, who will provide us a brief demonstration of cloud services. So I stop sharing, and yeah.
Okay, cool. All right, so now we're going to talk about the cloud. Okay, so first off, what is the cloud? The cloud is essentially any software or service that is run through the internet instead of on your local machine. So think of probably a really obvious example of the cloud in everyday life would be a Google Doc. When you're editing it with another person, the changes that you make to it are going to be seen by both people, even though they're working on it from different devices. And this is just kind of the point of the cloud. The cloud lets you access the same files and applications as other people, as long as you both have an internet connection. All right. So what is a cloud service? A cloud service is any service that's hosted by a third-party cloud service provider and that's delivered to its users and companies via the internet. So the key distinction we want to make here between a cloud service and a non-cloud service is that a cloud service is managed by a cloud computing vendor's servers as opposed to a company's on-site servers. So what this means is that companies can essentially host their softwares and their products from a third party's servers instead of from their own physical ones. And this can be advantageous for many reasons, which we will get into. Okay, so what are the types of cloud services? First one we're going to talk about is called software as a service or cloud application services. And these services essentially just use the internet to deliver applications managed by a third-party provider to its users. And most run directly through your web browser instead of through your local machine. And for this reason, they don't really require any installations or updates on the client side. So these types of services are advantageous because they reduce the time and money that companies need to spend on like installing, updating, maintaining software. Also, users are not responsible for hardware or software updates, and that's also very useful. And these types of services are managed by a central server and hosted from a remote one. Okay, so the second one we're going to talk about is called platform as a service. And these are essentially just environments that allow developers to build and deploy cloud applications. What this means is that they provide cloud components to a software, and they essentially provide a platform for software creation via the internet. And this is useful to developers because it gives them a framework that they can build upon to create like customized apps. So developers really like to use these types of services because they can customize their apps without worrying or maintaining software or about operating systems and software updates and storage when they're making apps. These types of services also help developers to create very scalable apps. And what this means, essentially, scalability just refers to the ability of a software to support increasing workloads, which we'll get into that a little bit later. But let's just say for now that being able to create scalable applications is very useful, especially for startups and companies. And yes, also PaaS services are called cloud platform services, and they reduce the amount of code that developers need to write when they are making apps. And some examples of PaaS cloud services are AWS Lambda, Heroku, and SAP Cloud. Okay, so the third type of cloud service is called infrastructure as a service, and these are called cloud infrastructure services as well. And what these do is that they provide companies with cloud-based infrastructure resources. And what these resources do is that they help to build and manage company servers, networks, operating systems, and data storage. So what these basically do in layman's terms, just to put it more simply, is that they help companies to build and manage their data, like as they grow. And companies really like to use these services because they can build and manage, they can purchase the necessary server and storage space that they need to build their software without actually having to host it or manage it themselves and on site. It also gives users on the client side full control over the infrastructure when they use these services, which is really nice, especially for developers. And these types of services are usually provided through a dashboard or an API, which we talked about earlier. So some examples of IaaS services are Microsoft Azure, Amazon Web Services. And any company that provides these kinds of services is called a cloud provider. All right, so to recap on the advantages of cloud services, obviously they're going to be more accessible than any service that is hosted locally on your computer because you can access it from multiple devices, and any changes you make or anything you do to an application, you will see those changes on any device. They're also lower cost, and this is because companies don't have to spend as much time installing or maintaining or updating software when they are making their products. They're also easier to scale, and this is especially useful again because this basically just means that cloud-based softwares are able to adapt to support increasing amounts of data and users. And that's really useful because when a startup or a business starts gaining traction and getting like a lot more users on its software, it needs to be able to handle the rapidly increasing amount of data that it's getting. They're also easier to secure than local softwares, and that's just because most service providers devote more resources towards security because it's obviously very important. All right, so now I'm going to hand it off to Nisala. He's going to do a demo.
All right, okay, let's do this. So now that we've learned, actually, wait, let me just share everything. Now that we've learned a little bit about APIs, how APIs work, the typical operations you do with them, and about how different cloud services work. Now that we've learned a bit about all of that, now we're going to bring that all together. So what we're going to be doing is we're actually going to be writing our own API in the cloud in order to run a Discord bot. And we're going to be using a new type of Discord bot. So if any of you guys have used Discord before, I assume a fair portion of you guys have, but if you haven't, we'll get you onboarded. A lot of Discord bots, how they work is you enter some sort of keyword that like tells the bot that you're talking to it. So like the Vandy Hacks bot, you have to type in like VH and then the command you want. So like if you want it to like tell you what commands it has, you go like VH help. So that can be a little confusing, right? You don't really know what commands a bot has. Sometimes it can be a little annoying to use. And so Discord has added this new thing called slash commands, where basically you can go slash and then the name of the bot or the name of the command, and it'll give you a description. It'll tell you what sorts of things you want to enter. So this is pretty new, and we're going to teach you guys how to make that type of bot. And it's going to be running in the cloud with an API that you write. So here's kind of how this works. So we're going to be making a bot, or at least the demo that I'm going to be walking you guys through, we're going to be making a Discord bot that rolls an n-sided die. So you can go /roll, and then if you type in like /roll 6, it'll roll a 6-sided die. If you go like /roll 20, it'll roll a 20-sided die. And that'll make a post request to your own API. And we'll be hosting that API on a service called Cloudflare Workers, which is a cloud system for writing like little APIs, basically. It'll run some code, right? It'll take whatever message it got from Discord. It'll take it, it'll do some operations on it, right? Make sure that it actually came from Discord, and then actually roll the dice, and then it'll return whatever value back to Discord, where then it'll be displayed. So here's actually, let me show you guys what we're actually going to be making. So in the end, you're going to be able to make a bot where you can go /roll, and then the number of sides. So let's roll like a 20-sided die. It'll send the command, and it'll roll the dice. So that's basically what all of you guys will be finishing with today. So we're going to be doing this all together, and hopefully by the end of this, all of you guys will have a working bot that can do that. And one thing that we're going to have to do is we're going to have to tell Discord what our command looks like, right? Because Discord by itself doesn't know what our / command should look like, right? Like when you go over here and you type in /roll, it automatically knows what our command looks like, what sides is, it knows everything about the command, right? So in order to tell it what's happening with our command, we have to send a post request to it with the data that tells it what it is. And we're going to be using Postman for that. So everyone's going to be using Postman to set that up. So think of what you want your / command to do. If you we're going to write our API in JavaScript. So if you're already familiar with JavaScript, you could probably come up with a more complicated / command if you want. You could make something that rolls like, say, maybe you can give it dice notation. Like you could say like roll a 2d20, right? So 2 dice that have 20 sides each, instead of just doing something like this. Or you could do something different altogether. But if you don't want to do that, if you want to stick with the tutorial, that's absolutely fine. We're going to be walking you through it. So here are the four things that we're going to be doing. First, we're going to go to the Discord website. We're going to register our bot. Then we're going to register our / command with Discord using Postman. So we're going to use Postman to send a request to Discord and say, hey, this is what my / command is going to look like. Then we're going to create our API that handles those bot commands. And then we're going to register that with Discord and add it to a server and actually try it out. So let's get started. I'll want all of you guys to follow along with this. So if you want, I see that some of you guys have your cameras on. If more of you guys could turn your cameras on, that would be great. Just because it's easier, because I'm going to be asking for feedback from you guys. If you don't want to, obviously that's fine. But that'll make some of this a little easier, since we'll be able to do some more back and forth feedback. But for now, let's get started. So the first thing that we need to do is we need to create our Discord bot, right? So how many of you guys have a Discord account already? Does everyone here? Yeah, actually tell me in chat or unmute, whatever you guys want. Tell me if you guys don't have an account. Okay, if you guys don't have an account, you guys can make it here. You guys can just go to discord.com and sign up. And then once you guys are there, you'll want to go to this link here. Discord developer applications. So I'll give everyone a minute to go to that link and sign in, and I'll check in with you guys in a minute once we're there, and we can get started. So everyone, make a Discord account if you don't already have one, and then go to this link. You should see a page that looks something like this. Okay. Is anyone not at this page yet? If you're not, just tell us in the chat. Tell me to give you another minute, or we'll keep moving. All right, okay, let's keep going. So from here, now what we want to do is we want to register a new application with Discord, right? We want to say, okay, this is what our bot's going to look like. So over here, go ahead and click new application, and let's call it dice roll, right? Because that's what we're doing, right? We're making a bot that rolls dice. So let's go ahead and click create. In order to make it, it'll give you a bunch of information. Don't worry about any of this for now. For now, just go over to the sidebar and click on bot. And then from there, let's add a new bot. And then click yes, do it. And then here you go. So now we've created a new bot account. So as you can see, like over here, when I actually roll the dice, it comes from an account called dice roll, right? It comes from an actual user account, a user bot account. So that's what we've basically done here. By clicking add bot, we created a new bot account, and that bot account is going to be the one that's actually talking in Discord. Okay, so now that we have that, what we need to do is we need to tell Discord what our slash command is going to look like, right? We need to register it and say, hey, this is this type of command that we're working with. So in order to do that, we're going to use an application called Postman. So what I want all of you guys to do, so I know there's a couple accounts that all of you guys are going to have to make. There's one more account coming, but for now, go ahead and go to postman.com and create an account. So I'll give all of you guys a minute to do that. And eventually you should end up at a page that looks something like this sort of home page. So I'll give everyone a minute to make a Postman account. And basically, again, what we're going to do with Postman is we're going to make a request to Discord as our bot, and we're going to say, hey, this is an application that our bot is going to have. Everyone good? All right, okay. So now what you guys will want to do is you'll want to go over to Workspaces and click on My Workspace. And then once you're at My Workspace, there should be a new button right here. You click that, click Request, because we're creating a new request. And let's call it Get Commands, because that's the first request we're going to make. We're going to make a Get request. And then down here, you want to click Create Collection. You just name it Test, or you can name it Discord, something like that, whatever you want. And then click Save. And you should get a screen like this. I'll give you guys another couple seconds to catch up there to where we're at here. And let me know if you guys have any issues or if those instructions didn't work, and we can get you guys fixed up. Okay, is anyone not at this page? All right, okay, so I'm actually gonna open up a workspace that I've already made that has a bunch of this cool stuff already ready. So the first thing that we're gonna do is we're going to make a GET request. We're gonna make a GET request to Discord and say, hey, what slash commands do I have right now? Like, what slash commands does my bot have right now? And what we're gonna do is we're going to make a GET request to this URL. So I'm gonna drop it. I'm gonna drop it in chat. And you'll see that there's two brackets right here that say application. That's your application ID, because you're getting slash commands from your Discord bot application specifically. So go over to your developer portal, and then in the URL, you'll see that there's a number right here. That's your application ID. So you can go ahead and grab that and then paste it in right there in place of the application bracket. You can paste that in. And then one other thing is that you need to be able to prove to Discord that you are who you are, right? Because otherwise, anyone on the internet with that number could just open up Postman or open up another request system and just get all of your commands. That's not okay, right? That's not cool. So in order to make sure that that doesn't happen, we're going to use a header. We're going to use an authorization header. So when you click over to headers, it'll show the key value thing, just like what Kevin was demoing earlier. You want your key to be authorization, and you want your value to be bot, and then your bot token. And you can get your bot token from here. When you go to the Discord developer page, when you click on bot on the left-hand side, you'll see that it gives you a token. This token is just like your password, right? Like when you send a message in Discord or when you sign into Discord, it asks for your password, right? Same way when the bot authenticates with Discord, it wants a token. So that token is what we're going to use in our request to tell Discord, I am who I am. I'm authorized to view this information. Does that make sense for everyone? Does anyone not get that? Or are we all on the same page here? Again, I'm just going to go over this one more time. For the GET request, you want to put in the same number that's over here. You want to get that number in for your application, and then authorization, bot, and then your bot token. And once you're ready, you can just click the send button, and you should get an empty array because we don't have any commands yet, right? So when you click send, it should give you a status of 200 OK, which means that the request went through successfully, and then it should give you an empty array. Now, this is usually the time in the workshop when people's stuff starts breaking because this stuff can be complicated. So has anyone gotten a status message or a response that wasn't this? And if you did, go ahead and unmute and let me know or say it in the chat. We can get it fixed. How are we doing?
a 401 unauthorized.
401 unauthorized. Okay, that means that your authorization token is probably wrong. So so go ahead, make sure capitalization does matter. That's an issue that a lot of people run into. So make sure that's authorization and then bot and then your bot token exactly like this. And then in your URL, make sure that you've replaced the number correctly.
Oh, I see it.
Perfect. Okay, did anyone else run into any errors, or is everyone else all good? Good to go, okay. Okay, is everyone good to go? Does everyone see the right status message here? Okay, so now what we're gonna do is over here, go ahead and hover over this, hover over get until you see these 3 dots and click duplicate. So that way all of your authorization data gets duplicated along with it. So it'll create something called get commands, copy, you can rename that and change it to create command. Because now we're actually gonna create our command. Now remember, what do we use when we want to put information into a database or onto a server? We make a post request. So we're gonna click over here and we're gonna change this to a post request. Looks like my numbers didn't synchronize over. Actually, you know what? Let's see. Don't save. I think I need to save this first. Keep it, let's see. Yeah, there we go. You click the save button and then duplicate. There we go. So now we have this new post request, right? But now we need to tell it what the data is going to be, right? We need to tell it what our command is going to look like. So I actually have a body ready right here. So in here, you'll want to click over to the body tab. You'll want to click on raw. And then on this dropdown, you'll want to click on JSON. And then I'm going to send this in chat. This is a JSON object that describes our command. So while you guys get this all set up, I'm going to move it over to this post real quick. So again, it's body, raw, JSON, and then paste it in from chat. So what this is saying is we're saying that our command is role, right? It's named role, it's /role. Description, role and n-sided die. And then we have the options, right? So our option in this case is sides, the number of sides for the die that you want to roll, right? And then type is just something that Discord uses to know like what type of message it is. And then required true. So we have to tell it how many sides our dice has. And then once you're ready, once you could go over to headers, make sure that it still says authorization has this, make sure that your URL has the right number in it, make sure that in body, this is all set up correctly, and then click send. And if it worked correctly, it should say down here, status 201 created. So if you get an error message that has a 200 code, so 200 or 201 or something like that, anything that starts with a 2 means it's okay. Someone already got a 400 code, 401 means unauthorized. It means that you're trying to do something that you don't have authorization for. So it should say 201 created, and it should give you this object that says that everything's okay. Again, this is when we start running into errors. So has anyone run into any errors? Has anyone had any issues sending this request? One thing that you guys should also do is you guys can click back over here, over to get commands, right? The thing that we had before, and you can send that request again, and you'll see that this time it doesn't return an empty array. This time it returns our command. So our post request worked, right? We made a post request, we changed something in their database, and then when we make a get request again, it shows up. So that's a good way to verify that your request worked and that what you wanted actually happened. Okay. One more minute. Is everyone okay? Or has anyone run into issues? Just making sure, because it's really important that everyone's able to follow along and that we're able to get to where we want to go together. All right. Okay. So now what we're going to do is we're going to actually make an API, because right now we have a bot command, right? We've made a bot, we've given it a command, but now when you run the command, nothing happens. So we need to basically make it so when someone runs the command, there's an API that it can talk to. And what we're going to do is we're going to use Cloudflare workers for that. Workers.cloudflare.com. Let me send this in chat. This is the third account. I know we're making a lot of accounts today. This is the third account that you guys will want to make. So Cloudflare Workers is actually really cool because it's what people in industry use. Like this is something that actually in Vandy Hacks we use for all of our APIs. We have this really cool link shortener, and that link shortener talks with Cloudflare workers in order to make links. So this is the stuff that everyone uses. So go in here, click on sign up in order to create an account. This one can be a little confusing. So I'm actually going to make a new account, I think. Yeah. I'm just going to walk through it over here. So let me see. My account right now is my Gmail. Okay. So I'm going to make a new account too. So when you go in here, I'm going to make it with, so when you click create account, it'll send you to this page. It'll ask you to set up a subdomain. So you can just enter whatever you want for that. You can just go with whatever it says for default. You click setup. Give it a minute. And you'll see this says region Earth. It says, right, like, so these workers, this is one really nice thing about the cloud, right? When you make a Cloudflare worker, it's available everywhere. In China, in Europe, in the United States, in Mexico, in Brazil, every single place that there's a data center, this worker is there. So no matter where you are, this thing works just as fast as if you were, right here. You can click continue with free, and it'll ask you to check your email to set up. So I'll give everyone a minute or two to activate. I'm going to do that over on my phone. Okay. And then once you're done, once you're all done, once you've verified your email, you'll want to go to dash.cloudflare.com. And then once you're at dash.cloudflare.com, over on the right-hand side, you'll see a button that says workers. You can click on that, and you should be presented with this screen. Like this. You can see all of the other role commands that I've made while we were testing out this workshop. And then VHLink and Nimbus are actually workers that we use in VandyHack. So they're actually workers that are currently deployed. Okay. Is anyone struggling with the setup process? Anyone? Is everyone doing okay here? Okay. Either tell me one more thing, just tell me out loud or in chat if you aren't on this page yet. If you are, then you're good. Let me know real quick or we're going to move on if you guys are on this page. Everyone good? All right, okay. Go over here and click on create a worker. You can drag this out so that way the main thing that you see is the coding interface. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to send you guys this URL. This has all of the code that we're going to start with. So once you go to this page, go ahead and select all, copy it, delete everything that they've given you here, and then paste it in. This is kind of the starting body that we're going to start the API with. So they already give you a lot of this stuff. We've included a couple extra lines just to help you along because it can be a little confusing. And we've put in a bunch of comments to help you guys actually write the thing. And we're going to do this step by step. So it might seem a little intimidating. There's a lot of words. Don't worry about it. We're going to make it through. So once you guys have got this pasted in, we're going to get started. We're going to actually write this API. Let's do it. So the first thing that we need to do, actually, one thing that Discord is really finicky about, and one thing that you should be finicky about in your APIs too, is you need to make sure that only people who are authorized to use the API can use the API, right? So Discord, right, when we made Postman requests to it, it used that auth token, right? But here, right, like Discord, right, like when I actually make a slash command here, right, it's not going to send an API key, right? It's not going to send my auth token because who knows what I'm going to do with that, right? That's unsafe. So instead what it's going to do is it's going to send a signature to basically prove that it came from a verified server, from a server that the bot is supposed to live on, with a signature and a public key. So what we're going to do is we've actually created an API here that will verify your Discord requests for you. And what we're going to do is we're going to make a request to it programmatically. So before we made API requests with Postman, now we're going to make an API request with code. And the way you do that in JavaScript is with the fetch command. So what we're going to do is go ahead and follow along, code with me here, is we're going to fetch this URL here. We're going to fetch the Discord verify API. And then we we need to give this thing some options. So the type of request that we're going to make is we're going to make a post request, right? And then what we need to do is we need to give it the data, right? We need to give it the body. That's what we're going to do. We're going to say body, and we're going to write the body here. So there's 3 different things that this request wants. The first thing is our public key. And we can get our public key from the Discord developer portal. So I'm going to switch over real quick, just to show you guys where this is. Over here on the Discord developer portal, click on general information, and then you'll see right here that there's a thing that says public key, right? So go ahead, click copy, and go back over to your worker and paste it in like this. The next thing we want is a signature. And the code to getting the signature, we've actually put in the comment right here. So you can just copy it right in. And basically what it's doing is it's getting something from the headers of the request. So not the body, but the headers which come before the request. They're basically things that describe the request. So we want to pass in a signature and a body. You can just copy those, copy the code to grab those straight in. Now, one thing that this request wants is it doesn't just want a JSON object, it wants a JSON string. So basically we need to turn this object that we've created into a string. So the way you do that in JavaScript is you go JSON.stringify in order to turn the object into a string. And now one thing, and now this is now what we're doing is mainly JavaScript stuff. So what we want to do is we want to wait. So we want to wait until the request is done. So we're going to put in a wait up here. We'll wrap it in parentheses. And then once we've gotten the request, we want to take the JSON data out of it. So then we're going to say .json. And we want to wait until it's gotten the JSON data. And we want to put all of that in a variable. So we're going to go let is verified equal to this. And that's how we're talking to this API with all of this data, right? This JSON string. We're waiting until it gives us our data. Then we're going to ask it for a JSON of that. We're going to wait for that. Then we're going to store it in this variable. Is everyone with me so far? I'll give you guys another minute to copy this down. And then if is verified, so is verified.verified. So, and with an exclamation mark, so we're saying if it's not verified. So if this request is not verified, then what do we want to do? Then we want to return a response with status code 401, which is something that one of us ran into earlier, right? Status code 401 unauthorized, because that person's not authorized to make a request. So we're going to return a new response with whatever text we want. It doesn't matter. We can just say unauthorized status 401. So we're returning a new response. We're saying, hey, you're unauthorized with a status of 401. Okay, I'll give you guys a second. If you guys are really lost, there's the code. You guys can paste that in if you're really lost. But that's the code for checking if our request is verified. So now what we're going to do is we're going to get the data. Now, there's 2 different ways that this API needs to be able to respond. One important thing that this API needs to be able to do is it needs to be able to respond to Discord's ping messages. So Discord once in a while will say like, hey, is this API still working or can I shut it down? And basically what it's going to do is it's going to send us a message with just one thing, with data.type equals 1. It's going to send us an object like this. So if data.type equals 1, what Discord wants us to do is it wants us to return a new response that looks the exact same, just with type 1, with the status code 200. And remember, status code 200 is an HTTP code that means okay, if the request went through. And it looks like it wants not a JSON object, but a JSON string. We want to go JSON.stringify in order to stringify that object that we're sending. So if Discord sends us a ping message, which is just data.type 1, then we want to respond with an object type 1, status 200. So finally, once we've gotten past all that, if it's not a ping message, make sure it's verified, right? Once we've done all that, we want to roll and return a value. And this is the format for a message. So first, let's get that in. So return new response. Return a new response. It's a message type 4, which is just something that Discord uses to identify within. I'm actually going to wrap all these in quotes. And then data, content, and then our message tag. So for now, let's just have it say, you rolled a die. Nice and simple. So over here right now, we're talking about validation here. So validating the API, right? Because you don't want to, like right now, this API, right? Like it'll let you type in whatever. So like this is not a valid number of sides, right? So right now, this API, this demo API has validation. It makes sure that it's a valid number. Make sure, you know, that you can't roll a negative number of sides, right? You can't have a die with -3 sides. So it does that validation. We're not going to do that right now. For now, we're just going to set it up like this. We're just going to have it say, you rolled a die, assuming everything passes. So you can go over here. You can go ahead and name your API. I'm just going to name it, like demo roll. And then click save and deploy in order to deploy your API. How are we all doing? Are any of you guys not caught up? And if you aren't, then let me know. Tell me in chat or go ahead and unmute. Hi, Kari. You doing good? You good?
No, I'm a little behind.
You're a little behind? Okay, I'll give you guys some time in order to catch up then. Here you go. Okay, I'll give you guys another minute or two to get set up. Okay, give me a thumbs up once you're done. And then once you're ready, what you can do is up here, you can click this open a new window icon and make sure that it says unauthorized when you open it up, because it should be unauthorized, right? If it says worker through exception, then you wrote something wrong. But if it doesn't, if it just says unauthorized, that means that your authorization script worked, right? Because obviously this GET request didn't come from Discord, right? It came from your browser. So then it should stay unauthorized. So once you're ready, go ahead and test that. If it says worker through exception instead of unauthorized, then let me know and we can get that fixed now. We'll test it. We'll test it, Austin, to answer your question. We'll test it all up in a second. That's one way to make sure that your authorization is working. But once you're here, then we'll actually test it with Discord. We'll actually put it in a server and test it out. Give me a chat message or say something out loud by unmuting if you guys are not ready.
I said worker through exception.
Oh, with the worker through exception, huh?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. Okay. Do you want to screen share so that we can look at your code? Are you comfortable with that?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, let's take a look. Okay, let's take a look. So this will be good exercise. So, okay. So you don't need that request.json there. So you could take a look at the code that we actually pasted in here. So in your fetch, it should just say fetch and then the URL.
Okay, dope.
Yeah. So you can go ahead and remove that. Yeah. So and then put a parenthesis behind the first await. So if you want, you can just copy the code that we sent in chat if you want.
Like right here.
This code right here. You can copy this in from chat and throw that in to replace lines 24 through 35. You want to do that, and that'll be valid code. That's a bit of an issue with JavaScript actually, just because the fetch API can be a little confusing, especially if you haven't worked with JavaScript a lot, right? Like all the awaits, all the parentheses. JavaScript's not great with that sort of thing. But okay, go ahead, save and deploy, and then open it up again. Let's take a look. Look at that. Okay, it says unauthorized. Okay, go ahead and stop screen sharing.
Yeah.
Is anyone else running into issues, or are we good? Okay, I'm going to take that as a yes. Let's keep going. So now that we've got this ready, what we're going to do is go ahead and open up Discord. So go to discord.com if you don't have Discord installed. If you do have Discord installed, open Discord. Otherwise, go to discord.com and click open Discord. And then what you'll want to do is go over to the plus sign, click add a server. Let's create our new server. Say for me and my friends, click on create. It's actually just me and my bots. Yes, I don't have friends. That's unfortunate. So once you've created your server, I'll give you guys a minute to do that actually, to make your server. Once you guys have got your server, go over to the Discord developer portal, click on OAuth 2, and now we're going to be authenticating our bot with our server. So once you're over here, check applications.commands, because that's the permission we want to give this bot, right? We want it to be able to do commands. So check applications.commands, click copy, open a new tab, and paste it in. And it'll say the dice roll wants to access your account, or whatever command you ended up making. You can select which server you want to add it to, and then click authorize. And then this is when the fun happens. When you click back over to your server and you type in a slash, and there it is. Dice roll appears. You can click on it. Say I want to roll a 6-sided die. I mean, that part doesn't work yet, but for now, when you send that command, well, it's supposed to work. This is part of the fun of debugging, I guess. Let's see. Let's see what's getting in the way. Oh, sorry. We forgot to register it, of course. So Discord doesn't know that this worker exists at all. So what we want to do is click on this thing, this open a new window button, copy the URL, and then go over here to your Discord developer portal, click on general information, and paste it in right here in the interactions endpoint URL. That's the URL. Now Discord's going to know, hey, that's your URL. That's what I'm going to be using. And when you click Save Changes, if you set it up correctly, then you should get a nice, happy green box here. If you didn't set it up correctly, you'll get a big red box. And if you get a big red box, we can debug that. But now, this should be working. Maybe. Maybe not. Oh boy. Let me take a look. If any of you guys are running into issues, let me know. Oh yeah, forgot to put a status on. That would do it. Yeah, so if you guys were following my tutorial, which I guess if you guys didn't catch me there, you got to put a status on the response, of course. And it wants JSON string. So I was so excited to get to the Discord part. Forgot a couple steps there. So this is what your final piece should be. I'll just send it in chat so that way you guys can copy it out. My bad. Got a couple steps there. When you go over here, there we go. Now it works. Let me go over the changes here real quick. So in here, I fixed this statement, right? Make sure we're sending it a JSON string instead of JSON object. Make sure we're telling it status 200. And then we created a new Discord server. We went over here to OAuth 2. It'll give us permissions for application commands. Copied that, put it in a new tab, and added it to our server. And then in here, in general information, we registered our interactions endpoint URL, right? We gave it the URL, we clicked save, and then made sure it worked. Okay, how are people doing with this? That was obviously a lot. How are we doing? Anyone run into any major errors? Or are we making progress?
I didn't get a chance to copy down the one bit from Cloudflare, the if data.type equals 1, that whole section.
Here it is, yeah. Let me send it in chat too, so that way you have it.
Thank you.
Actually, if it makes it easier, if you're stuck and you can't figure out what to do, obviously it's better if you can do it yourself. But if you're stuck, you can just go to this URL and we have all the code ready for a full dice roll. You guys want to copy that? Because obviously this is not a JavaScript workshop. It's an APIs workshop. So if you don't want to bother with the JavaScript, you can just go to that URL, paste it in, and click save. Although it is important to understand kind of how these responses work, right? They take a string JSON with a status code and you return that response. That's how the whole system works. And actually, I'm going to paste in this code here and I'm going to put it in my worker. And the nice thing about workers again is when you just paste in code, when you just click save and deploy, oh boy, is it really good? Oh yeah, your public key. So yeah, when you paste it in, make sure that you put your public key in. Again, that's from the Discord developer portal. Just click copy, paste it in, and then click save and deploy. And then that automatically works. Now if I go roll 6, dice roll works. Yeah, with that code, you guys shouldn't run into any issues because all that code should be working.
Oh yeah. I feel like I missed the first part of the Discord thing because it's just not doing anything.
Not doing anything. What sort of error are you running into? Like,
I'm not running into an error. Like I have the application, dice roll application up there, but it's not like showing up in the server.
Not showing up in the server. Did you do the OAuth thing? Did you add it to the server?
Yeah, I clicked the yeah, I did the link.
Okay, you did the link.
But...
You added it. Mm-hmm. So when you type in slash, does a dice roll type of thing show up at all?
No.
Interesting. Okay. Go over to Postman. Mm-hmm. Go over to. Let me share my screen again. Go over to Postman and run the get commands thing again and see if the command shows up. See if you should get an object like this.
Unauthorized.
Oh, unauthorized. Okay. Mm-hmm. Make sure in your headers then that you have your authorization, your bot token in there.
Wait, it goes in. Oh, okay.
It goes in headers. Yeah.
I think I had it under.
You have it under params. Mm-hmm. Oof. Okay. Did your post request go through for creating the command? Because if it didn't,
now it went through.
Okay. When you run get, does this show up?
Which one? That does not show up.
When you do the get request.
No.
Okay. Do you just get an empty array?
Yeah.
Okay. So go over to the post request that we made. Mm-hmm. And do you have the let me see. Where's my post request? Yeah. In the post request, do you have the body? Like, did you set this all up? Because if you didn't have it in headers before, then your post request probably failed, right?
Okay.
So yeah, so go ahead and set that up again in headers, right? Authorization, bot with the bot token, and then in the body, go ahead and put this bad boy in the body. And then send that request.
This in the body. Okay.
And then you should get the status 201 created.
I'm sorry, can you say that again? With the, how do I add it into the body?
Okay, so click on the body tab. Mm-hmm. Click on raw. Okay. Click on the drop down. Click on JSON, and then paste in that thing that I sent in chat, and then click send.
Got it.
Got it. It's that 201 created.
Wait, no, it says error 401 bad request. 404 bad request.
Okay, go ahead and screen share. Let's take a look.
Yeah.
I want to make sure that you get this. And then, don't worry, Austin. We'll be wrapping up in just a couple minutes here once we get Victor's stuff set up. So, okay, bot 400 bad request. Oh, okay. So this is a get request and not a post request. So go ahead and click on that drop down, and then change it into a post request. And go ahead and send that again. Oh, look at that. 201 created. Woo! Okay, go over to your Discord server now and type in a slash. Let's see. Does it show up now?
No. Let me redo that.
Okay, you might need to reauthorize it. I'll be honest, I don't know what happens when you do this before adding it to a server. So you might need to reauthorize it. So here, yeah, OAuth 2. Scroll down, check applications.commands. With copy, I open that in a new tab. Select your server. Okay. And now go ahead and type in a slash and see if it shows up.
No,
Really?
that's so weird.
Go back to Postman, make that GET request. And then if it still isn't working, we'll wrap up and then I'm going to keep helping you. We're going to get this working.
Which was Postman? That's Postman.
Okay. Yeah, go back over to the GET request. Yeah, go, yeah, was this the one? Yeah, go ahead and click send again. Oh no, it's there. It's there, all right. It's all set up. That is interesting. Okay, so let's wrap up real quick, and then I'm gonna keep helping you after this. So go ahead,
Cool.
Kashfi.
All right. Okay. So we're gonna wrap up this workshop now. Some of the main takeaways we hope you took away from this. Obviously, why our API is important. It's because they allow developers and services to request and receive data from other services, and this can be really helpful for a number of things, like for creating a Discord bot. And then why are cloud services useful? Obviously, they provide more accessibility than locally sourced or locally based applications. They're more cost and time efficient because companies don't have to spend time on updating software and maintaining it. And they produce more scalable applications, which is very important, especially for businesses. And they're more secure. So we hope you guys have a better understanding conceptually of APIs and the cloud. And we really hope you guys enjoyed our demos and learning how to make your own Discord bot. And if you guys have any feedback for us, we'd really appreciate it if you would use the following link, which either me or Nisala will paste in the chat, where you can give us feedback.
All right, so much, guys.